And hopefully this will record. Okay, so good morning, everyone. Again, it's so nice to have people from around the world joining in this one place. It really does feel like a connection and sense of community in a time when we're isolated, many of us still, though parts of the world are opening up. But also there's a lot of trauma happening in the world. The news is pretty difficult, and on top of an already difficult pandemic in the US, there's a lot of pain on many levels happening. And I was thinking about that today, and a few things came up. One thing was I was yesterday, I had my class with my internal martial arts and Qigong teacher, Liu Shifu, and I just read all this heartbreaking news before the session. And when I started, I was really emotional and I couldn't remember what I was doing. And then I told him, I said, Liu Shifu, I have to tell you, I'm still not quite calm right now because I've been reading about what's going on in the States. And he said, yeah, people think too much and don't act enough. He said, so stand, right? So I was like, right, okay. So I stood and I was a little bit shaky, and then I stood, and then within a few moments I just settled and I was in myself again. And then I was talking to him later and I said, I was crying reading the news yesterday just from the pain that I feel. And he said something so beautiful, you didn't deny that. He said, yes, and this is why we need to practice. And this is why we train. This is why we do what we do. And it's even more important in times of difficulty that we train. And then it made me think about a book that I read a while back, The Book of Joy. And it is written by someone who interviewed the Dalai Lama and Desmond Tutu, Archbishop Desmond Tutu, two people who are wise, older, and who have lived through exile, some may say genocide, apartheid. These people have seen a world of sorrow and suffering. And yet here they are in their older age writing about joy. And I like the wisdom of people who have lived through difficulty and what they share. And there was a question basically that was asked. People all over the world want to know how they could possibly live with joy in a world so filled with sorrow and suffering. And the world is in so much turmoil with war and starvation and terrorism and pollution and genocide. My heart hurts for these issues. How do I find joy in the midst of such large world problems? And the Archbishop Desmond Tutu responds by saying, you show your humanity. You show your humanity by how you see yourself, not as apart from others, but from your connection to others. I have frequently wept about the things such as the ones you've mentioned. And then the Dalai Lama continues a few pages later. He says, when bad things happen, they become news, and it's easy to feel like our basic human nature is to kill or rape or be corrupt. And then we can feel there's not much hope for the future. And he says, all these things happen and they're unusual, but they're unusual, which is why they become news. There are millions of children who are loved by their parents every day. Then in school, their teachers care for them. Okay, maybe there's some bad teachers, he said, but most of them are really kind and caring. And then in the hospital, every day, millions of people are receiving immense caring. But this is so common that none of it becomes news and we take it for granted. So he's suggesting then that we have to keep a wider view. And this is the source of our practice, is to open our hearts to be able to hold everything, the difficulty and the pain, the beauty and the sorrow, the tragedy and the joy. And then lastly, it's in another section called acceptance. And the Archbishop says, we're meant to live in joy, which I think is really beautiful. But he says, this does not mean that life will be easy or painless. And the Dalai Lama says then the acceptance that he's talking about of all the difficulty in the world, he says, what this is advocating is not passive. And this is really important, I think. It's not passive, it's powerful. It does not deny the importance of taking life seriously and working hard to change what needs changing, to redeem what needs redemption. You must not hate those who do harmful things, he explained. The compassionate thing is to do what you can to stop them, for they are harming themselves as well as those who suffer from their actions. The compassionate thing is to do what you can to stop them, for they are harming themselves as well as those who are suffering from their actions. Yeah. And bringing this always back to why we're here. We're here to do some Qigong. But through our actions, we are generating a very important steadiness within ourselves so that our body and our heart and our mind can be a home to right action and compassion, that we can be in the world in a way that lets us not think so much and act more. You know, to be okay with everything that is arising and have a quality of steadiness and inner strength and health and well-being to be able to support many of those who are not able to feel that same level of steadiness and space to hold these things. And so, you know, if others aren't able to do this work for themselves, let's do it for ourselves, and then let that also be a very strong medicine in the world. Yeah. So let's start and come to standing. How to find our own connection to self, and therefore maybe a connection to humanity and that source of greater inner joy. You must not hate those who do harmful things. The compassionate thing to do is to do what we can to stop them, but do it from a place within our own bodies that feels steady. And it feels less reactive and more generous, able to work from a place of clarity and compassion. So as you stand, let the knees soften, the center be gently met by your breath filling and emptying from the center. And what we're going to do is first take the arms out to the two sides. So practice hands to heart. As we come into the summer months, the corresponding element is fire. And the organ is the heart. Fold the elbows and hands in towards the heart, lower the chin towards your chest. Rest your two hands over the center of the chest. And generate a quality of presence in the heart, the sun of your body, the warmth that allows for the awakening and the love and the kindness that we can give to ourselves and give to a world that is very much in need of some healing. And the heart is so important, it's got some helpers. If you slide your hands down to the gut, so beneath your belly button, this is your small intestine, which is like the support to the heart. It's filtering out impurities and toxicity so that the heart doesn't have to absorb that and feel it as a burden. So the small intestine filtering this out. And then gather again as the arms open out and allow the arms to come to the sides. And what nourishes your heart and whatever state the heart might be in, it might be an individual pain, it might be a larger community or global pain, or it could be love. And why we feel pain is often because we love. And just soften the hands here and use this as a gesture to support the heart's ability to hold this pain compassionately and to meet it with love. And then slide the hands from the heart back down to the small intestine in the gut. Recognizing the the strength of your second brain, of the gut, your gut knowing, this more instinctive quality of thinking or knowing. And one more time, as you're lifting the arms out, taking from the two directions what nourishes the heart, what nourishes the fire element and helps it stay balanced and healthy, calm and tranquil, even in the midst of difficulty. And then slide the hands down to the abdomen. And let it sort of marinate there a little bit, ferment. Feeling the steadiness, and also with the hands at the heart area that can physiologically be a source of centering and grounding, but also to come back to our center is a way of saying, come back out of the thinking realm and into the lived, felt realm. And release. Now gather as you bring your arms out and to the two sides, natural breath. Gather the things that might burden the heart in a way that the heart feels kind of a bit overextended or anxious or stimulated. And then clear those things that might overstimulate and burden the heart, whether that be physically or emotionally or mentally. In Qigong, they all have a similar origin, which is just the qi in the body that can get excessive or deficient. So you clear the energy that burdens the heart. And then you gather the energy or qi, the life energy that nourishes and that strengthens and clarifies your heart. It gives it this calm, steady presence to open to all things. They say in the Taoist tradition, the key to happiness is the openness to 10,000 joys and 10,000 sorrows. And you fill with the qualities here that nourish and clarify and strengthen your heart so that it can meet the world with a sense of awakeness and openness and care and kindness. And then third final round is to gather what you have just filled, what nourishes your heart and strengthens it, clarifies it, helps it feel more steady and calm. And you seal this in. And when we can feel the heart more steady, we may be able to meet the world and not fall into despair when we hear about sad things. We can feel the courage and the strength. Like Archbishop Desmond Tutu and the Dalai Lama, people who have a lot of sadness they've witnessed, and yet they don't fall into despair. They fall and incline towards joy. So take the arms out, shift your weight to the left leg and foot, and just do something gentle. So not even balancing today, just lift the heel and circle the heel, which will also move and mobilize the hip joint, the knee joint. So you create steadiness by keeping the ball of the foot on the ground and circling the heel and ankle. And then reverse, take it the other way. And it's a very gentle mobilization, again, for the other joints in your leg, the knee, the hip. And then keeping that foot light, shift over and transform the light to the heavy. And then transform the heavy to the light as you lift the opposite heel and circle. Steady breath. So in Qigong, Reverse, go the other way. In Qigong, sometimes a very simple action is imbued with all kinds of metaphor or meaning or dichotomy. So you don't have to do complex things to affect a big change in our attention or quality of being. Transform the light to the heavy, and then balance the heavy and the light with both of the feet down. We'll do a couple loosening warm-up exercises. In this first one, your arms go forward, you bounce up, they lower down, you bounce again. And forward, down. So the bounce, a double bounce, or a bounce each time your hands reach the front and then down. Yeah. And allow the arms not to go too high. So sometimes I see the arms going quite up towards the sky, but just to the level of the chest. And you can extend the fingers a little bit as they fall down towards the earth. And then see if you can use only as much effort as you need. So it's not over-efforting. The intention here is a loosening. So if you start to kind of powerhouse the movement, it can have a diminishing effect on the desired result. You know, in economics, there's something called the law of diminishing returns. I think that's the only thing I remember from my university economics class. Oh, hi kitty. Photobombed by our cat, one of our cats. But when you do the law of diminishing returns, it's at a certain point, all the effort that you put into something is not going to give you any more positive yield, but you will have a diminished yield. So here it's a similar idea. It's framed in a different way in language that's called Wu Wei, which is effortless action, which is the opposite of struggle and strife. So the opposite of struggling, opposite of feeling like you're needing to accomplish and do. Rather, you're allowing for and using just the amount of effort that you need, not more. I don't know if you can see my cat. He just lay down. He's like, I'm gonna do Wu Wei. And then release. And we'll do one more. So it's, or two more maybe. Just a simple one. So arm swings for health, or sometimes also known as constant bear. Main thing to keep in mind, a couple things. You want the knees to bear the brunt of kind of the turn. So scrunch your toes very slightly as you're standing. That will help to activate some of the muscles and stabilize the knees. And also feel the legs active from the inner legs, as well as the front and outer legs. So the adductor muscles and there's a muscle called gracilis as well, the inner leg. I wonder if Huck has a gracilis muscle. And keep the crown of the head to the sky, the tailbone to the earth. Loosen the arms so they wrap front and back sides of the waist. It's very good for the kidneys, this one, but also really effective generally for your organs, for the spine, the vertebrae in the spine. Keep the gaze focused forward. So rather than turning the head too much, just keep the gaze forward. Good. And then release that. Softening down. You might notice a little tingling. And last one for the shoulders, rolling the shoulders a few times forward and up as you breathe in, back and down as you breathe out. You can keep the breath matched to the movement or breathe naturally, but orientate your rolling to those 4 points I mentioned, up, back, forward, and down. And reverse, go the other way. And even though you're focusing on the shoulders, the body is a living, dynamic, responsive organism. So all the movements are inclining us toward that connectivity. Can you feel your feet grounded as your shoulders roll? Can you feel your tailbone lengthening down as the crown lifts while rolling the shoulders? Can you feel your breath still present as part of awareness as you move the body? And then finishing. Step the feet a little more into a position like hips width, shoulders width if they weren't. And rest your hands one over the other onto the abdomen. The navel center, soften the knees. Centering here. And then as you release your arms, lower them into either position 1 or lift them to position 2. This is our standing meditation practice now called Wuji, emptiness stance. So in position 1, if you have the arms down, let them be just dangling down so they're almost in line with the size of the legs. Yeah. And the fingers, everybody, having a good space in between each of the fingers and an equidistant between them, equal distance. If your hands are up here, lift the, like Deborah, for example, instead of the fingers down, lift the fingers so they face each other. Yeah. Good. And then lower the hands in front of the chest. Yeah. Good. Excellent. Yeah. And Leonora, let the elbows bend in a little bit more. Yeah. Excellent. I love that you're doing the Qigong in your kitchen, by the way. Yeah. Elbows bend in a little more. That's it. So if you're hungry, you can just have a snack. And a few others as well. You might lift the elbows so they don't kind of drop by the waist, but not so much that you start to strain. That's it. Yeah. And if you do lift them, like Hilda, lift the hands to the level of your pectoral muscles. That's it. Nice. Yeah. And then soften anything that's unnecessarily tense or tight right now. The main thing here is we can't hold ourselves in a position like this, whether it's with the arms down or up, but we can't hold ourselves in a position like this muscularly, because we'll tire ourselves out quickly, we'll deplete our energy, and we're so used to, though, using muscular effort to accomplish things. And so this can be a retraining, if you want to think of it that way, a retraining of the mind. So you don't hold yourself there muscularly, but you relax muscles. It's a very different quality. Melissa, in the red shirt, let your fingers open a little bit with your arms down. Yeah, so there's a bit of space. That's it, nice. Soften the front channel. So from the tip of your tongue all the way down the front of your spine to the base of the pelvic floor. Also soften there. The back channel from your tailbone up the back spine, around the back of the neck, the head, the crown of the head. Follow that line all the way around through the center of the forehead, down the center to the tip of the nose, and then into the center of the palate. Brighten that. So your palate lifts a little bit, the back body brightens. Wuji, Zhanzhuang, Hunyuanzhuang, all these different names for this posture. It's the formative posture, it's the foundational pose, and it's the most difficult pose for many people. Especially if you stand for a few minutes, you'll start to feel sometimes maybe a sense of peace, but also maybe a sense of, wow, this is strong, this is hard. Yeah, like Eva, yeah, your arms. Yeah, you can relax them and take a rest, but go slowly if you change position. So you kind of find within the stillness, you seek movement. And then therefore when you start to move, you're also still. So front channel soft, back channel bright. Crown of the head, Bai Hui, 100 meeting points, lifts to the sky. Tailbone and pelvic floor basin, Hui Yin, meeting of Yin, that drops down to the earth. Just here for another 2 minutes or so. This is the foundational practice because it's believed that it leads us from this space of potential and vastness, Wuji, emptiness stance. It leads you from that into Taiji, which is the balanced and harmonious point between yin and yang. Rebecca, also bend your elbows a little more and bring your hands slightly closer in towards your chest. Nice, yeah, good. Andrew Manning, you can bring your fingers a little closer in towards each other. Yeah, that's it. Just each hand closer towards each other. That's it. Nice. Yeah. Allowing the sense of alignment as well between the earth and the sky. So feet on the earth, head to the sky. Same concept as Bai Hui, 100 meeting points lifting to sky. Hui Yin, meeting of Yin to the earth, the most Yin point of the body. And then balanced and centered. Right amount of effort. So you can maintain the sense of finding connection. And it kind of creates this inner stillness and inner strength, which is a real gift right now for yourself, but also for humanity. Including all living beings. I'm hearing some horses walk by. We have a bridleway right near our house. You guys can hear the horse hoofs. And then with that sense of movement that seeks stillness, begin to move, but within the movement, seek your stillness and move your hands, whether they're higher or lower, in towards your lower dantian, which is the abdomen area, the belly button. Draw them in towards the lower dantian. And then feel that connection of the hands toward the lower dantian. Eventually release the hands back down. Take them behind the back and hold one hand onto the other wrist. Circle on the bases of your feet so that you massage the bottoms of the feet as you move. Circle 3 times one direction. And then 3 times the other direction. And stand. Release your arms and hands. Adjust the feet again if you'd like. Place the hands back onto the lower dantian as the sequence of forms we'll do now. Just taking a moment before we start them to center. The sequence we'll do now, the 18 forms. I'm going to see how many we get through. I'd like to do some things at the end of our practice today that I think might be beneficial. I've been talking to yesterday my Qigong teacher, and he's like, you know, people who are locked up in their homes and feeling a lot of anxiety, they might really benefit from these practices. So I'm going to try to share a few other things at the end of class. Letting the arms and the hands now release down. And the first of the 18 forms, harmonizing the qi. As you breathe in, hips draw back and down, the arms lift forward. But imagine you're the opposite of Frankenstein with your arms. So not rigid, but soft like a ribbon, lowering down. And then feeling from almost the underside of the arms. So from the center, underside of the arms, they float forward and your knees bend, hips back. Exhale and ascend to the crown of the head as the arms descend. Good. You're going to do 4 more like that. Again, as you're breathing in, the arms come forward. the shoulders don't lift up, so the shoulder heads descend. And then exhale and descend the arms as you lift your crown. 3 more rounds, breathing in, letting the knees not bend too far forward. You want to draw the hips back and the tailbone down. Exhale and ascend back up. So the 18 forms, they're very popular throughout the world, developed in 1970-something, 9, by a Chinese Qigong teacher named Lin Ho-sheng. But they've changed and become kind of many different types of practices now of the 18 forms throughout the world. Just bring your arms, hands forward and open. And I've certainly taken liberties, I would say, in the interpretation of how the forms are done. I like to do them as meditative practices, so a little slower, and also applying different principles from Qigong and Taiji into the execution of them. I also like to introduce the visualizations that are associated with them. This one is called Opening the Chest, 开阔胸怀. Exhale down. And it's mainly affecting the circulation and the respiration. So the meridian lines for the lungs and the heart run through the inner arms into your hands. I do a little pulse, so the legs straighten as I lift my hands forward and open, and my knees bend as the palms turn down and lower down. And just do 2 more. So supporting your heart and lungs. Breath out. Lots of good practices for the heart to do this time of year, especially they're more potent as we, in the Northern Hemisphere at least, we're moving in towards the summer. We're beginning summer already. Exhale down. The 3rd form, cross the arms. It's called separating clouds. As you breathe in, you lift the arms overhead. You turn your palms out as you exhale and soften them down. Again, there's a little pulse. So as you breathe in, you're letting the knees straighten, but never locking them. And then exhale and letting them soften. So it's almost like the body is moving as a whole unit. As the arms lift, your knees lift, your crown lifts, your tailbone descends. As your arms descend, the crown lifts and the tailbone descends. Breathing in, just 2 more rounds. It's also good for the shoulders and circulatory respiratory systems. Said to help anxiety and depression. That'll be a real helpful one. So parting the clouds, separating the clouds to reveal the sun, lightening our days. Now, left foot steps out a little more. And feet come apart. Toes turn slightly out. The arms are to the 2 sides. Now, the main thing here is not to have the elbows too close, but you never again want to lock the arms straight. So just a little bend. Rainbow dance. Exhale down. If this one doesn't bring joy, I don't know what does. Inhale, rise up. But you're doing something quite nice, dancing rainbows in your hands. Exhale down. Inhale up. Exhaling down. Yeah. Move with your own breath. Continue like that. Just side to side. Imagine the 2 ends of the rainbow in your hands, dancing them. Yes, nice. And the side body gets a really good kind of flushing out, and the side of the ribs here, there's a couple acupuncture points where the spleen meridian is running through. So it's very good for balance, the earth element. So some of you could bend the bent knee a little bit more, like Raki, you can let that knee bend a little more, yeah. And then letting also the sense of the eyes following the bottom hand. So if you're feeling comfortable with what the movement's like, just shift your gaze away from the screen and shift it towards the bottom hand. So you're just looking down towards the bottom hand without folding the chest over. So you don't want to go too far over, compromising kind of the alignment of head and tail. Good. Nice. So do 1 or 2 more rounds until you're going to finish going over towards the right. And then as you breathe in and stand, turn the right toes in, step the left foot closer, hold your hands on imaginary oars of a boat, and then begin to row your boat in the heart of the lake. Hu xin hua chuan. Hua chuan is to row the boat. Hu xin, hu is lake, and xin is your heart, or the heart. So you're rowing a boat in the heart of the lake, which is a really nice image for me to hold. Very calming, even with the physical kind of strengthening that's going on in your legs and your back. It's balanced with that calmness, steadiness, quietness. Yeah, finding joy through our humanity and through our connections to others. Never see ourselves so much as separate, but linked together. And do 1 more round, so not too many rounds of this one. Reaching forward with the crown, back with the tailbone, down with the arms. When you stand, lift up, open your hands in front of your chest, rolling ball. So 1 arm forward, 1 arm back, exhale. Inhale again, and then exhale, and bring your hands towards center. So there's that contraction, and then there's an expansion apart, and you change 1 hand forward, 1 hand back, you roll, and then come in. So your eyes, in this case, follow the front hand, they don't look back, and exhaling in. Relaxing the hands, and actually if you move more from your elbows, it's a different quality and feeling. If you move more from center, and feel the elbows stretch apart, breathing in, and the elbows contract in as you breathe out, then you can kind of relax your hands more because they're not doing the work. And this movement is a really good example of the contrasts of expansion and contraction. Songjing. This represents, again, the balance of opposition, but wholeness. They're always moving in opposite directions. They momentarily almost come together before they split apart again. This is yin and yang. Yang becoming yin, yin becoming yang. Yang always has a seed of yin, yin always has a seed of yang. But the 2 forces are contained within the whole. So we're just going to do 1 more each side. Good for the shoulders. Feel your elbows squeeze together. And your elbows move apart. Breathing in, right arm finishes rolling back, and then breathing out, the hands draw into center, then they lower down, your palms turn to the sky, and your left hand is at Mingmen, the gate of life, with the palm up, you're holding a ball. The right hand is going to lift the ball, and as you begin to lift the ball, opposite heel lifts as you breathe in. Then you sink down, you shift your weight, you turn, and then you change the hands and inhale, lift the ball with your left, mirroring you. Exhale, sink, shift, turn, inhale, lift. Like that, continue. Again, we won't do too many rounds on each side, but allowing each of the movements to feel integrated, like they create kind of a holistic sense of the body moving as a unit, rather than it's just the arms moving or it's just my hands moving. You might think of it as the whole body is responding and integrated and moving as one. So it's the down action, it's yield to a push, to a reach. This is a movement pattern from somatics, which looks at the natural, evolutionary, and developmental patterns of movement in the human body. Yield, push, reach, and then that integrates the whole body. Finish 1 or 2 rounds, go over towards your right, inhale, then looking at the moon, movement of the legs is the same. You draw down, but both hands now lift on a diagonal to the sky. Look between the hands to the light of the moon. Exhale down. Keep the chest lifted but soft. Crown of the head to the sky, tailbone to the earth. Look at the moon. Inhaling left or right, sorry. Exhale down. And then up. And if you, again, focus more on moving your elbows. So now they're going to squeeze together a little bit. And then they're going to lift and separate a little bit. Then your hands can become more responsive and in tune with that release, that softness. And the movement's coming more from center, which is a principle from Taiji and Qigong and internal martial arts, right? To move from your lower dantian, move from center. And that is very centering, which when the world is spinning and there's a lot happening, we have little control over. To find ways to support our own center can be a real gift and resource. So we're going to finish 1 or 2 more rounds, lifting the hands, arms up towards the right. Breathing in, again, that's the reach. Now yield down, turn, your bottom palm turns toward the sky, your top palm is going to push away. This is called push palm turn waist. Inhale and switch the hands as you face center. The hands switch, the top hand now pushes away, the bottom hand is lifted palm to the sky and you're turning from your waist. Now, I know I've been teaching this for a while and many of you are familiar with this idea of differentiating between the hips and the waist a little more. And see if you can, if you're new to this and you haven't done this before, take a moment, put your hands on your hips and then turn just your waist, but stabilize your hips. So not turning your hips, keep your hips exactly where they are and all you do is turn your waist. And then you change that, and all you do is turn your waist. Yeah, and then you keep that imprint of your hips not moving and your waist turning, and you begin to push the palm, turn the waist. You'll feel very, very deep core response, core muscles of the back and of the belly. Now, if you're familiar with the move, you look at your hand that's pushing. Your eyes follow the hands, 手眼相随. You're pushing the hand and your eyes are following that hand. In breath is the transition, the expansion. The out breath is the contraction and the pushing away. This comes from the martial tradition, Taiji, and what you're doing is the bottom hand is turning someone's arm to break it and pushing your opponent's belly or chest away. So it's quite strong. Yeah. Twisting the arm, right? Yeah, but this has become not martial, internal martial arts. So you're just, but knowing the application can be useful. And then you're going to do 1 or 2 more rounds. Remember, eyes look at the hand. Finish, so going to the right. And then slide the top hand above the bottom. Moving clouds, cloud hands. Move hands like they are clouds. And move the clouds from one side, then roll your hands and move them back over to the other side. Your bottom hand rolls forward, your top hand rolls back. And again, your eyes can follow the hands once you get the hang of this movement, so you don't always have to look at the screen. And just like that, go at your own pace. It doesn't have to match your breath. And relax the shoulders, soften the knees. Lovely, yeah. And your hands can be farther apart, closer together, that's up to you, but notice if your energy tends to rise, which can tend to lift the hands higher and higher. So keeping the hands really quite low. Yeah. And then let the transitions also be a focus. So the transitions, you don't quite ever start or stop, but you're always in movement, including the torso. So sometimes I'm watching some of you and you're stopping at one point, but see if you can keep moving as you turn the hands and then keep that fluidity going as you move from side to side. Yeah, really nice. Yeah, something beautiful like moving clouds in your hands across the sky. That's what the intention and the image is like right now that you can work with. Beautiful. And so you're going to finish with the hands moving towards your right. And then come back into center. Step your left foot forwards. I'll mirror you. So left foot forwards, bow stance, wider. That means that when you bend your back knee, the narrower stance would hurt the knee. Also, I picked this up from someone last time was asking, what does the back knee do when you bend it? It opens out. And it opens out because the weight of your body, your foot, should be on the center of the ball of the foot. So if this is bubbling spring, bubbling well, Yongquan, the center of the ball of the foot, that's where your weight center should be on your back foot. So for this next series, we're going to be doing a lot of this movement, and keep that weight on the center of the ball of the foot so the arch doesn't collapse and your knee moves out. So this one, it's like separating clouds. You bend your front knee, cross the arms, exhale. Without the arms touching, lift up, bend your back knee. Remember where the weight is on the back ball of the foot. Open, look at the sky. Exhale, arms down, fold, touch the sea. Inhale, lift up, bend the back knee. Weight is on the ball of the foot. Look at the sky. 4 more rounds on this side. Exhale down. Move from your elbows again. Inhale up, open. So your elbows are soft. They stretch apart and then they come together. They close together. Exhale. And then they lift. They're still together. Then they start to spread apart. Inhaling. And that can create kind of an interesting strength through the arms from your center. Inhale, the elbows stretch apart, almost like there's some elastic band between them, a rubber band. Last time, as you exhale, fold and come together. Your eyes follow the hands. So now lift as you breathe in, you're looking a little bit up, bend the back knee, step the front foot in, change the feet, right foot forward, exhale, and cross the arms. Gently, as you bend your back knee, put the weight on the center of the ball of the foot. Open, look at the sky. Exhale, fold, touch the sea. Good. Inhale, rise up. Not too big of a back bend, so mostly it's from bending your back knee that the weight shifts back, rather than from the upper chest and back arcing back, if that makes sense. So you're leaning back, bend your back knee more, Lisa. Lisa Burns. Yeah, that's it. Exhale, fold, touch the sea. Yeah, really bend your back knee. And if your feet are too far apart, that will feel hard, but bend your back knee more, Lisa. Your chest is opening a lot, so soften your chest, but put the weight in your back knee and bend it back. Yeah, it'll strengthen the leg. Good, once more as you exhale, fold. Inhale, shift back, so you're really bending that back knee, opening up through. And then the front foot steps in, your left foot steps forward, and you begin letting the arms come forward. This is called dove, exhibits its wings, or pigeon. Back heel lifts. As you breathe in, front toes lift, arms open. Exhale, forward. Inhale back. When you go back, let the arms and the hands stay in your peripheral view so you can see your hands from looking forward. Exhale, shift forward. And inhale, shift back. Yeah. Continue like that. Exhale, forward. Kema, when you go back, Kema or Kema you, let your arms not go too far back. So not back here, but just here. No, that's too far, that's too far. Yeah, here. Yeah, yeah, good. Exhale forward, yeah. Inhale back, so you're not going back like this, you're just staying here, yeah. Like bird wings, exhale forward. And inhale back, good. Once more, exhale forward, lovely. When you shift back, inhale back, front foot steps in, right foot steps forward, and you're changing sides, exhale. Another thing to keep in mind is when you're shifting back, you're only shifting back so far that it doesn't strain your lower back, your lumbar. And when you're shifting forward, you're not going to round your way forward, but you're keeping the spine as a unit, a reaching of the tailbone down, crown of the head up. So there's a diagonal line. There's also a bit of that yield, push, reach action that I mentioned earlier. There's a descending, ascending, and reaching. Inhaling back, exhaling forward. And once more, inhaling back, exhaling forward. Then, when you shift back, front foot steps in, hands lower down, and your left foot steps forward. For this one, the feet stay down unless you want to lift them up, and that's fine too. But where you go is pushing waves as you exhale. Again, you're pushing forward, but at the same time, your chest kind of hollows out. And then inhale back. When you bend your back knee and shift your weight back, remember to keep the weight on the center of the ball of the foot. And then exhaling forward, soft hands. Inhaling back, your elbows kind of move apart. And then here, your elbows move a little together as you push the waves forward. Then your elbows move a little apart. Weight on the center of the ball of the foot, and your elbows squeeze a little together as you go forward. Yes, nice. So it cultivates that inner strength. Your hands aren't the strength that's pushing the wave. It's your intention, it's your center. Lovely, yeah. Eyes follow the hand, unless you're wanting some screen views. Just looking at the hands that push. Wonderful, yeah. The retraction is relaxing. And then when you're pushing forward, without pushing the elbows completely forward, so you maintain a softness in your elbows. But watch my hands just for a moment. When you go forward, your hands, your fingers kind of lift up, and then the centers of the palms are soft. You're pushing forward like that. Yeah. And then the hands retract in. One more on this side. Exhale. But you're pushing from the heels of your hands. Yeah. And then the front foot will step in as you retract in. The right foot will step forward. And you push the waves on the second side. Finding your connection. Finding your inner strength. Finding your fluidity in being more fluid in the body and in the mind and the heart. You can perhaps align a little bit more with the quality of this always changing, fluid natured experience. That's fluid and changing, but also always part of the whole. Remember, your elbows soften as you draw apart or back, and your elbows gently squeeze in as you push forward. So that will create kind of that strength from center. One more round. And then front foot steps in. Your 2 feet step together. And you lift the arms out. This is wild goose flying. Breathing in. From the undersides of the arms, you lengthen your wings, and then you lower them as you breathe out down. Just finding that gentle, graceful flight like a wild goose. In tune with the seasons, which means in tune with the energy of yin and yang. Spring equinox, autumn equinox is when the migrations of geese happen. And that's when there's an ascending yin or an ascending yang energy. And so they can feel those shifts and they can be in the right place for when there's maximum yin or maximum yang, summer or winter. And likewise, in our own experience, through our practice, we can, over time, cultivate this alignment with the energies of the natural world, which will be a real support to the elusive inner peace. I always think of Kung Fu Panda's master, his Shifu, inner peace, inner peace. We can't strive and struggle to get it. Not through effort, but through effortless action, Wu Wei. Once more. And the left foot steps out, your hands make fists at the sides of your waist. You take a breath in. With your left fist, you bend your knees, punch forward, and push a little lower and down as you breathe in. So not strike forward, but pull forward and down diagonally, inhaling in. Breath in and breath out. And there's something called reverse breathing. So when you breathe in, fill your chest, empty your belly. When you breathe out, fill your belly, empty your chest. Chest fills, inhale. Belly fills, exhale. As the belly pushes out, that's reverse breathing. The legend says old masters could put a grain of rice on their belly when they lie down, and with reverse breathing, they could pop the grain of rice off their belly. Inhale in. Yeah, so this one's good for anger. Irritation, frustration, misdirected anger. 2 more, one each side. Last one. And then inhale. We're gonna do one thing. When I was in Plum Village, Thich Nhat Hanh's place where he used to live in France, and there was a demure, sweet young monk teaching the 8 brocades in the morning. And she said, okay, now everybody make fists, and you inhale, and you go, ha! Ha! Like, you wanna try it? Do it. Ha! 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 Okay, and I finished that. Just do one more each time. I finished that with the opinion that nuns have a lot of anger too. Release your hands. Turn your palms down. Hold an invisible rim of a wheel. This is called turning the wheel. You fold down, and then to the left, you turn the wheel, inhaling up towards the left, towards the sky, over to the right, and then back down to the earth. And that is 1 round. You do 2 more this direction. Choose what wheel you're turning: Dharma wheel, Karma wheel, Ferris wheel, steering wheel. After 3, reverse, go the other way. So you can do the little twist and turn to change at the bottom. That makes sense. And then your hands stay about shoulders distance apart on the whole round, to the side, overhead, and to the side. So when you do 3, approximately, for me that's 3 now, you finish in your forward fold, and then you flick your fingers with a, so breathing in, flick your fingers down. So cleansing practice. And then rise up Exhale, stand tall. Now imagine that someone's hands, like my hands or someone's you trust. One hand is on the front ribs, one hand is on your back ribs, like that. And the front ribs soften in, the back ribs soften down. So you're kind of drawing in and down. And then you can let your hands go and then imagine someone's hands are there to help you feel like in and down. And then you make that kind of the container as you bounce the ball. Right leg, right hand, down. Up, down. Breath is natural, the chest, ribs are soft. The back ribs drop down. This one, so silly. It's so fun, bouncing ball. Yeah, and you can make it interesting. You know, when I was teaching the very beginning, I said the heavy transforms to the light transforms to the heavy. You feel that as well. Hands relaxed, chest soft, back ribs lower. And then finish with the left leg up and down. Turn palms out. Final 18th form. Closing form for peaceful chi. And oh gosh, peace is such a gift and treasure to this world. So please be sincere in your gathering of peace and filling it into your body. Peaceful chi. So I'm glad we still have 11 minutes. Finish the 18 forms by resting the hands one over the other onto the lower abdomen. It's feeling the stillness after the movement. The groundedness and the centeredness of the body, the feet on the earth, head to the sky, aligned between the earth below and sky above. So you're going to release the arms and the hands down. And the first practice I did with you a few days ago, if you were here, we're going to step the feet a little bit wider. So as wide as horse stance if you'd like. Called etheric cleansing. So this first practice, the etheric body is our energy body, our aura, if you will. And often it can be the first thing that takes in external toxicity, poison, but it can also be from within our body when we're eliminating toxicity and poison, it can get a little stuck in that etheric realm. So this is an etheric cleansing to help to kind of clear the pathways and the energy around our body. So first thing is soften the knees. Hands. When you're cultivating chi in your hands, you make an invitation for the chi to come, but you don't expect it to come or want it to come, because that will often be the exact opposite will happen. It won't come. So you just make an invitation for it to come. And as you inhale, you're letting the arms open out a little bit. Your fingers like jellyfish tentacles to the earth. And you exhale, close from the wrists towards each other, the palms soft. Knees soft. Do that again, breathing in. And breathing out. Cultivating chi for the lower dantian. And once more. Just the invitation for some life energy or chi to come between the hands. And then when you inhale again, lift the arms higher. So for the middle dantian. And then in, cultivating the chi without demanding the guest of the life energy be present, but simply inviting it to have a space for it to be here, exhaling in. Inhale, open. Knees soft, toes slightly out or straight, exhale in. Soft intention. Now towards your left hand, I'll mirror you, take your right hand towards your left palm and hover the hand a few inches away from the skin. And through the inner arm, yin arm, etherically cleanse up the inner arm, all the way up towards the shoulder. Turn the arm so the palm faces down, and then do the same cleansing etherically outside of the arm, the yang meridian side. As you finish down towards the hand, send off any toxicity back to the earth, which can transform it. Switch, turning so your left palm faces the right, and you slide up the inner arm. You might feel a little bit of warmth or tingling, or maybe not. But just imagining the hand is there to etherically cleanse the yin meridians of the arm, heart, lungs, pericardium. And then the outer arm, the pericardium's paired with the triple heater, small intestine, large intestine. You're also clearing just the energy field of those pathways. Send the toxicity and waste back to the earth so it can get transformed. Turn to your left leg, and it's the outer leg. Use your hands to move down the outer leg, hovering the hands a couple inches above the skin, and etherically you're going to be cleansing down to give to the earth. But then your intention will change as you get to the earth and turn your hands, the inner palms, to face the inner ankles and the inner legs. Slide your way up, and the intention is to fill with the nourishment from the earth into the legs and into the body. There's clean energy coming in. And then switch over, crossing the outer leg, you're going to clear down. Clearing out what's no longer useful or doesn't serve you. And then gathering in what supports, what connects you, what steadies you, what feeds you, what awakens you. Bring your hands in at center. Now shift your feet a little closer and measure out 3 feet distance wide. 1, 2, 3. Turn. This is a practice from the Golden Bell covering, the Golden Bell Shaolin practices. It's called Kai 24 Qi, also called Yong, which means to embrace. And it's really good for feeling anxiety and feeling anxious. It's said to help cure and remedy toufeng, like wind in your head, rising wind in your head. So too many thoughts, worry, anxiety. So it's very good for the front ren mai and du mai, the yin and yang channels respectively. So start by feeling into the outer new growth of the tongue, the teeth, fingernails, toenails, and hair follicles of your skin. The hair follicles of the skin are the outermost shape of blood. The fingernails, toenails, the tendons, the teeth, the bones, the tongue, the muscles. These are areas, blood, tendons, teeth, tongue, the muscles, and bones, where qi moves through. So you move from the center out to those extremities. Turn to the side so you can see. You're going to slowly Actually, you had 3 feet distance. I changed my mind, 2 feet distance. Just change that to 2. Yeah, so it's not too wide. And then with the 4 tips, bend your knees a little, slowly flex your wrists and move them forward. Take your time, natural breath. When your arms reach towards the sky and they're at the highest level, turn your palms so they face behind the back body. Close your teeth, but lift your chin. Bend your knees a lot so the movement back comes from your knees and not from your lower back. Lift your chin, keep your teeth closed, and reach back to where it's comfortable and not straining for your back. But it's more from the bend of the knees. And then slowly come up. As you come up, point your fingertips, hovering above the skin. Point your fingertips down through the central line, your forehead, your face. You're hovering your hands a couple inches away from the skin. Roll your chin down. And then 1 vertebrae at a time. This is called Kai Er Shi Si Qi, which means moving the 24 meridians, moving the qi through the 24 movable vertebrae and meridians. Do it on the inner legs. And you're rolling down, opening 1 vertebrae at a time. Tailbone is the last thing. Tailbone is the last thing. Now in your forward fold, the tailbone opens last. Your legs can be a little straighter. Rebend your knees deeply. Keep your head down, but lift your arms so they're aside right by your ears. And then with your arms by your ears, start to stand up, flexing your wrists. Keep your knees deeply bent. Once you get to the top, turn your palms. Close your teeth together, keep them closed, lift your chin. Keep reaching back to where it's comfortable without strain. Keep your chin lifted, teeth closed. Then start to come up. Point your palms in towards the crown of the head, then the face, then point your fingers down. Point your fingers down, curl the chin towards your chest. Roll vertebrae by vertebrae down. The hands will eventually go down the inner legs, but hover them a couple inches away. Once you're folding, your vertebrae by vertebrae opening, the tailbone is the last one to open. You can straighten your legs a little bit more. You can do 1 more round. The arms draw forward alongside your ears, so your hands are flexed. Bend your knees more, and with your arms by your ears, stand up. Natural breath. Take your time, go slow. Turn your palms, bend your knees more, and then lift your chin, but close your teeth. Turn your palms back. And then stand. Start to slowly draw the hands in, fingertips pointing down, chin towards your chest, vertebrae by vertebrae, roll down. Go down the inner legs. Last thing to open is your tailbone. Legs can be straighter when you fold down or more bent, but then reach your arms by your ears, bend your knees if they were straight. Ascend, but this time you're not going to reach back. You're just going to ascend, flexing the wrists and hands, come to stand. Once you're standing, turn your palms so they face the crown of the head, then down towards your face. Stay upright and slide the hands gradually back down. All the way to the starting position. The hands are flexed gently Yong means to embrace or to hold. We hold our experience in this form, that sense of connection, sense of compassion, sense of openness and generosity, so that we can find joy. And release the 4 tips: hair follicles, fingernails, toenails, tongue, teeth. Bring the energy back with the hands lifting towards the lower dantian, hovering. Shift the weight to your right leg, step the left foot a little bit closer in, and rest the hands one over the other onto the lower dantian. Centering and steadying. Make a fist with your dominant hand. Lift that hand. The right hand for me is my dominant. Fold the other hand over the fist. We'll finish with our bows. First bow is to each other. From across many continents, here in one space, bowing to each other. Bowing to our compassion, our joy, our steadiness. Second bow is to your teachers, past, present, future, for their steadiness, their practice, their actions, their compassion, and their humanity. And our final bow is to ourselves, but also bowing to ourselves, we bow to those who've given us life, parents and grandparents, ancestors, all those who've come before you, maybe as far back as to the source that is one. You bow to that oneness and to yourself. You bow to your own humanity and connection, and your hope, and your joy. Such a pleasure to practice together again today. Really appreciate everyone being here. Just also, very kind of touched by just the presence and the continuity of many of you committing to the practice, which is slow medicine. It's gradual work of these practices, not the 3-step quick remedies that many people are looking for, but the consistency and the regularity is the transformative power of these practices. So thank you for being here. And thank you for many of you who have, again, offered your dana. I really appreciate it. I like to say that every time. It's my kind of decision to make it not transactional, but to make it based on the gift of support. And in whatever way you feel supported by these practices, then your dana is your support for me and the support that you receive. So thank you.